We're now going to explore what we bring with us into our marriage from our family background. Some people have had a very difficult and painful past, but when we look back to our childhood, most of us can generally find some good things about our upbringing. And we benefit from reflecting on and celebrating these healthy aspects of our family backgrounds together.
And during this session, you may well discover things about your partner's family that you didn't know before. Becoming aware of the differences between us in terms of our backgrounds will help us in our marriage. Every family has its own unique way of doing things. And we may well come into marriage either having decided that we're going to do things completely differently to what we observed growing up, or thinking that the way our family has always done things is the best and right way.
Addressing issues about our background means we'll understand better where each other is coming from, and then work together to create our own unique marriage culture. In order to do that, we want to take a few minutes to explore what a healthy upbringing looks like, so that we can measure our own against that.
Even as we begin, painful memories may be starting to surface, but we want to encourage you not to be anxious about looking back.
It's important to recognize any negative patterns from our upbringing so that we don't perpetuate them in our marriage and pass them on to the next generation. Even the deepest pain can be healed. And we've seen how so often marriage itself is the vehicle through which healing comes.
Many psychologists, since the groundbreaking research of John Bowlby in 1958 and the further developments by Mary Ainsworth and others in the 1970s, have recognized that children as they grow up need their home to be two things. First, a secure base from which to explore the world, and secondly, a safe haven to which they return. Being allowed enough independence to explore within safe limits is vital for a child's growth and development. Our home and our parents should act as the secure base from which we set out. But as a child, we also need a safe haven to which we could return to sort out our emotions, whether that was of frustration, anger, fear, disappointment, or sadness, and where our emotional tank could be filled up again with comfort, affection, encouragement, and reassurance that we had a parent who was there for us.
Our son Benj recently sent us a short video clip of him, his wife, and their 4 young children on a long deserted beach. And we realized we were watching this diagram happening in front of our eyes. Tamsin, our daughter-in-law, had made a base with a rug, a lounger, a picnic basket and a tent, with their 2-year-old close by. While Benj was filming, the children came running back to Tamsin with shells they'd found to add to a collection. They'd have a quick word and then set off again on their adventure looking for more. The setup with Tamsin acted as the safe haven for them to come back to, where, if necessary, their emotional tanks could be topped up, and the secure base from which to set off again.
And this concept of the family we grew up in being a safe place where we developed a healthy approach to life and to relationships is then what we seek to replicate in our marriage. A safe place where we know we belong, where our emotional needs are met, where we're able to build a relationship of trust and intimacy, and from which we go out into the world.
What we know from thousands of studies of children and parents and how they interact over the last 50 years, the basic need that children have is to feel safe with their parents and to know that on a very basic emotional level, they can call to their parents, turn to them, and have their parents pay attention and respond and come to them, comfort them, support them, help them with their emotions. It's like the parents are there as a safe haven for the child, and that makes the world a safer place for that child. When we haven't had secure connection as children, we're more sensitive, we're more easily hurt, we have more negative expectations of relationships. In the Hold Me Tight education program, we call them raw spots, and we help couples pinpoint and talk about their raw spots. I don't want people to feel that if they haven't had any kind of secure connection when they were young, that somehow love is a closed book for them, because it's not true. Marriage or falling in love is kind of like a new chance, I think. We feel stronger, we're more sure of ourselves, We believe in ourselves. We're not so scared to go out into the world. We take risks. When you have this connection, your relationship grows. It becomes a safe place, and you can support each other, and then you grow.
Where our upbringing failed to provide enough freedom to explore and a safe place to return to, it can leave us with buried anger that may then come out against our husband or wife. A good friend of ours, Miles, told us a story from his childhood that illustrates how our upbringing can affect the ways we relate to each other in our marriage, sometimes without us realizing it. Miles grew up in Canada. When he went to primary school just before his 6th birthday, his English mum decided to dress him up in a uniform.
She got me these smart gray shorts, black shoes, a tie, and even a little jumper. And she had to drag me to school, kicking and screaming and yelling and crying. As I suspected, all the other children were dressed in jeans and normal clothes. I was picked on and bullied and pushed around, and I came home from this first day utterly miserable, with my uniform just filthy. And this went on for a few days. Finally, she got the message and she relented. I was able just to wear normal clothes to school. My mom continued, though, to exert a strong influence over my clothing. The worst occasion was when I was 15 and I was visiting her in a hospital where she was terminally ill with lung cancer. And she asked me, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to a party." And she said, "What are you going to wear?" So I told her jeans. And she said, No, you can't wear jeans. Anyway, I just started arguing with her. I had this huge row. I left, came back the next day, and she said, "I've got something for you." And I said, "What?" And she gets this bag and pulls out of this bag a pair of acid yellow corduroy elephant trousers. I knew she meant well, but on the other hand, how could I wear such a ridiculous outfit? I felt I had no choice. She responded that I did have a choice and produced an even more hideous pair of green trousers. Basically, I finally just realized, look, how can you disobey your dying mother? When my mom actually passed away a few months later, I was shocked that my first reaction wasn't sadness, but it was relief. I thought, now I don't have anyone to tell me what to do anymore. I knew I should have been grieving, and I started to think that there was something wrong with me. Now, early in my marriage to Deborah, she'd be maybe giving me directions while I was driving, or suggest something to wear, or give me some suggestions while I was cooking, and I would just explode with rage. And on the marriage course, I started to see that all of this was just this automatic reaction to my mother. I thought Deborah was trying to control me when in fact she wasn't. And it was an opportunity to start healing hurt from the past and to forgive my mom. And Deb, really helped me. We did this together, and it felt wonderful, to go through this healing process with her. And so now I ask her for advice on what to wear, and she sometimes buys me beautiful clothes. I'm not perfect. I still react, when Deb gives me directions or tells me how to cook something, but it's much less frequently and with a lot less anger. And I think she's quite relieved that the smoldering volcano has died down.
Our relationship can be adversely affected by our background, but our marriage can also be the place where we change and where we're healed of our past.
It starts with becoming aware of why we overreact when our partner touches a raw spot. These are sensitivities that are rooted in our upbringing and that impact our relationship today.
Now, for some people, it's becoming aware that they lacked a role model in their upbringing of what a healthy marriage looks like, and they feel uncertain about how to build a strong and intimate marriage themselves.